Today Sports Central, we go over a college football bowl preview and prediction on the 2021 Birmingham Bowl matchup between the Houston Cougars and the Auburn Tigers. Houston is your runner-up of the American Athletic in this 2021 season. They lost to Cincinnati in the conference championship, but of course the Bearcats are a college football playoff football team. So for Houston, 11-2 heading into this matchup, currently ranked number 20, and the American Athletic runner-up. They have had an excellent season, and they're going up against Auburn, 6-6 football team, middle-of-the-pack team in the SEC. They've had an okay season, but this definitely could be a quality win to finish out the season for Auburn. So lots at stake here. We'll be going for a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Starting out with your team trends. Houston lost to Cincinnati once again, 20-35 was their final score there. Cincinnati was ranked number 4 at the time, and now they're in the college football playoff, which is a huge deal for Cincinnati and for the American Athletic and for the group of 5 in general. Seeing a team out of the group of 5 in the college football playoffs. So yeah, huge credit to Cincinnati and for Houston getting up into that runner-up position. I mean, not many people expected Houston to be as good as they were this season, but they're 11-2 heading into this game. They've had a great year, currently ranked number 20 in the college football playoff rankings as well. Auburn lost to Alabama in 4 overtimes against Alabama, 22-24 in the Iron Bowl. That was quite a game. Definitely one to be remembered there, and Auburn was so close. They were that close to beating Alabama. That would have been an insane upset if it were to happen, that's for sure. But Auburn ended up taking the loss. But either way, got up to 6 wins. They're 6-6 on this season. Do have a couple of quality wins down the stretch as well. But obviously the SEC is a tougher conference than the American Athletic. So it is an even matchup, even though we got a 6-6 team against an 11-2 football team. But Auburn also has lost 4 straight games going into this game. So they haven't won a game since October. Game will be on Tuesday, December 28th, Birmingham, Alabama. Kickoff time is noon Eastern. Spread's going with Auburn here by 2.5 points. So despite having 5 less wins than Houston, Auburn is still favored here. And it's been kind of an interesting past couple of weeks here for Auburn. Bo Nix has entered the transfer portal, so he will not be in this game. But then again, that's not really much of an issue. Bo Nix, I mean, he started for a decent amount of the season, put up 2,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks. So the stats weren't terrible, despite many people saying how terrible he was of a quarterback. But I mean, you got TJ Finley now in there, he's been promising over the past few weeks. I mean, he hasn't played a whole lot for Auburn. He's only played the past couple of games against South Carolina and Alabama. But overall, I'd say he's put up some promising performances. He's not a top tier quarterback by any means. He's still got room to grow and develop, but he's definitely shown some promise in the past couple of games. I mean, he kept right up next to Alabama, the number 3 team in the nation. So definitely something to note there going in. But yeah, so over-under is 51.5. FBI is going with Auburn as well, 59.4%. Series history, Auburn leads at 5-1, but the last game was in 1973. So it's been a very long time since we've seen the previous matchups between Houston and Auburn. Here's your stat comparison for this game. Houston, high-powered offense here, 37 points per game, 21 points allowed, 270 passers a game, 145 rush yards. And then for yards allowed, you got 191 passing, 106 for rushing. So overall, statistically, this team has been excellent all season long. I mean, 37 points per game is definitely a good stat line there for Houston. I mean, they got Tune, their quarterback. He's had a great season. Clayton Tune, 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, 9 picks. Definitely, yeah, excellent season for him. He's definitely shown some major promise for the future. Defensively, they've been pretty good. Pass defense, 191. Rush yards allowed, got 106. Not bad there either. Pass yards game 270. Rush yards game 145. So even the rushing game hasn't been terrible for Houston either. And they've been a dominant football team. I mean, Houston last time, I mean, they lost to Cincinnati there, but the last time they even lost a game, they had a huge win streak going on there. I mean, they won like 11 straight games before losing to Cincinnati there. They lost to Texas Tech back in week 1, but ever since, they just went on a streak and didn't stop from there. So, yeah, Houston, I mean, they know how to win their football games. And Auburn, 29 points per game, 22 points allowed, 241 passers a game. You got 164 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 242 passing, 127 for rushing. So for Auburn here, Bo Nix, obviously, he's already gone, so he doesn't really even fit into the equation anymore. But TJ Finley, he's definitely, I mean, this is a huge game for TJ Finley to show what he's worth to this Auburn program and really give this team a show as to what he can do. I mean, this is a big game for him, especially looking at his future with Auburn. And Tank Bigsby, there's been some big rumors with him. Apparently, it looked like he was going to be leaving the Auburn program, potentially entering the transfer portal, which good news for Auburn is that he is staying. So Tank Bigsby, the key running back, over 1,000 yards of rushing on the season, 10 touchdowns. He is staying with Auburn, which is huge for this football program. But otherwise, if you're looking at it statistically, Auburn's pass defense hasn't been very good. But then again, they've gone up against some excellent football teams this season. And we'll get into more about that in just a little bit. But rush defense hasn't been terrible. 127 rush yards allowed per game on the season. Some recent matchups: Houston lost to Cincinnati there. Did beat UConn 45-17. Beat Memphis 31-17 or 31-13. Beat Temple 37-8 on the road. Solid win. And also beat South Florida 54-42. And once again, I mean, they had an 11-game winning streak to finish out the regular season there. They lost to Texas Tech back in week 1 once again. But, I mean, ever since then, they got on a hot streak and once again didn't look back from there. Auburn, though, they did lose to Alabama in 4 overtimes, lost to South Carolina by 4. But South Carolina, turns out they're a decent football team. I mean, they made it to a bowl game, got up to 6 wins. Played pretty well down the stretch. I mean, the SEC has been brutal in this football season. I mean, the conference has been just excellent to say the least all year. Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, Ole Miss, Arkansas. I mean, Texas A&M, Auburn, LSU, Mississippi State. I mean, 13 out of the 14 of the SEC teams are in bowl games in this season. The only team out of the equation is Vanderbilt, who is 2-10. So, I mean, it's an incredible conference. They've got some tremendous talent in the SEC. And I mean, if you look at Auburn here down the stretch, did lose to Mississippi State 34-43, lost to Texas A&M as well 3-20. Did beat Ole Miss. That was definitely an impressive win there for Auburn by a score of 31-20. Ole Miss was ranked number 10 at the time. That set Ole Miss back a couple of ranks, but Ole Miss has climbed since back into the top 10. Also beat Arkansas back then, 38-23. That was a quality win. Beat LSU as well. So, I mean, Auburn, even though it's been kind of a tough season in the bigger matchups, I mean, they've lost some big opportunities. Like they lost to Penn State, lost to Georgia, lost to A&M once again, and all those teams. I mean, this is still a talented football team for sure. I mean, they just have not been in the winning column as much as many would have expected. But some key points: Houston 11-2. Clayton Tune is a key impact player for the Cougars. Once again, he's had an excellent season: 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Definitely, he is a major impact player for Houston and the Cougars. And don't forget about Nathaniel Dell, their top receiver, 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns on the season. He's had a great year as well for the Cougars, the lead receiver for Clayton Tune. So that duo is pretty tough to stop. Even the rushing game has got some pretty impressive talent. So Houston, I mean, this team has had a great season. This is a major opportunity, though, for this Houston football team, going up against a good SEC opponent, a talented SEC team, and you've got a major opportunity at a quality SEC win here. And I mean, every team in the SEC, I mean, if you can beat any team in the SEC other than Vanderbilt, it's an impressive win. So, I mean, for Houston here, this is a big opportunity for them, and you know that the Cougars are going to be motivated here in this matchup. I mean, they've had a great season, 11-2, coming off of a tough loss to Cincinnati, but they kept it close. And I mean, the Bearcats are a very good football team, and Houston is as well. So, Houston, they're going to be motivated. They're going to be ready to go. That's a guarantee. But for Auburn here, 6-6. Bo Nix has entered the transfer portal. Don't worry about him anymore. TJ Finley, though, off to a promising start. We haven't seen a whole lot out of him, but this is a big time. All eyes are going to be on TJ Finley here in this matchup. How is he going to perform in a bowl game here against a good football team? TJ Finley definitely shows promise, but we haven't seen a whole lot out of him. So there's a lot of optimism, but at the same time, who knows what we're going to see. But TJ Finley, the way he played against Alabama, I mean, you never know. He played pretty good against Alabama, the Crimson Tide are a great football team, and many expected Alabama to just destroy Auburn. So, I mean, in the way it turned out in 4 overtimes, I mean, yeah, he played excellent, and he's definitely a key impact player in this matchup, and they played a tougher schedule as well, although Auburn has lost a few more games than Houston, so it kind of balances out there. But that said, let's go ahead and get to the prediction here for Houston and Auburn. I'm going to go with the Tigers here, 31-24. This is a tough one to predict here because Houston has had such a good season, and you know that they're going to be super motivated here in this matchup. But on the flip side, Auburn, the way they've played the past game or two, I mean, Alabama, they kept that team, I mean, all the way to 4 overtimes. It's incredible what they were able to do there with TJ Finley. And, I mean, with Bo Nix would not have been able to do that. He probably would have lost the game much earlier than in 4 overtimes. But I mean, TJ Finley shows promise in the way that he played against Alabama. I think that he definitely has got a good chance to lead this team to a victory here in this game against Houston. Probability is going to be 55% towards Auburn, over under 51.5. I'm going to take the over for this game, just barely. Auburn to cover as well, the 2.5-point spread. I'm taking Auburn to win by a touchdown here, but definitely, once again, it could go either way. Houston's a talented football team. Do not sleep on them by any means. High-powered offense, great defense. Houston is definitely capable of winning this game, but I just think Auburn, coming off that Alabama game, if they got blown out to Alabama, for example, 4-game losing streak like that, and losing to Alabama by, if they lost 3 or 4 touchdowns, I'd pick Houston in this game because there's not much promise with Auburn. But the way they played against Alabama, a new quarterback. I like Auburn in this game, 31-24. But that's it. Let me know your thoughts and comments below, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.